possession with Henry. Oh, ultimate dancing beyond Simpson. It's great stuff. Oh, it's absolutely brilliant. Let's get in behind here. Takes around his period. Oh, beautiful skill. It's winning. Bold onto Adams. This would be a fairy story. Can there be a sweeter moment?
What's the crack? What's the bleeding story? Surprise, surprise, he's not Del Boy. Hi everyone and welcome. It's Warren here from Warren's Team Talk and welcome to the Del Boy Gunner TV channel. Thanks very much for tuning in and it's all right. You haven't got the wrong stream. I'm here. I'm standing in for Del Boy. The reason I'm standing in for Del Boy is because Del Boy's had to go off, unfortunately, and he's asked me to stand in for him. So I'm going to take control of the show for him. Let's see what happens. And anyway, so it's a match reaction show. We're going to talk about the game this afternoon that's just finished. So I hope you're all ready and prepared for that. And we've got one guy waiting already. It's the one and the only Mr. Manny. Hi, Manny. How are you, sir?
I'm doing well, sir. And what can I say about today? Obviously, you're going to lead the discussion. And I know we'll probably have a lot to say when all be in agreement. But it's good to see you on a Sunday. And it is Diwali. So where I am right now, there are some people who are lighting firecrackers and bursting them in the street so you can hear the sound. Fortunately, this is why I've got my headphones on with a microphone, so hopefully you cannot hear anything going on in the background.
I just heard a little few bangs and cracks, but it's fine.
Oh, sir.
No,
I do
it's fine,
apologise.
man. Diwali's nice, so I like it. So, yeah, fair play. And I hope they have a great time, and I hope that you do too if you celebrate. So, yeah. That one.
It's getting louder now. It's getting louder. And that's the worst part. So it's as if even with a microphone, it is quite sensitive. It does pick up some noises from elsewhere, so you can hear what's going on. But at least now my screen's a lot clearer, and that's to do with better lighting from my side. So it's good to see you taking charge. I mean, you've done it with Diesel's channel, and now you get to do it with Del Boys.
Yeah, I'm getting the old hand at it. So before we get started, I'm just going to read out some of the chats. So Siam's vlog, waiting lads, thank you. Hi Siam's, I hope you're well. It's not Del Boy. Del Boy hasn't aged incredibly since the last time he did the stream. My name is Warren. I have a channel called Warren's Team Talk, and I'm standing in tonight for Del Boy. It should still be a good show. There's plenty to talk about, and we'll get into that in a minute. Manny's there with his chat saying, hello, Del, me old China. Looking forward to seeing you. And Manny, just in case everyone's wondering, where Danny is, they're celebrating Diwali. I believe it's a festival of light, isn't it? Is that right?
It is, exactly. So, I mean, traditionally, you're supposed to light these oil lamps and, put them in front of the family deity and sort of pray and have a more quiet celebration. But people also like to have the sound element added into it. So you have all of these really loud things being burst. And the big issue is that there's a huge controversy about that because a lot of people have said that it causes a great deal of, a lot of litter everywhere. Personally, I like to light those sparklers if necessary, and maybe a few rockets, some things which don't cause too much noise. But also, I'm really not too fond of the sound. But I mean, when you delve deep into it, there is a lot of religious significance into that. And obviously, the way people celebrate, it is good fun. And of course, in London, they have a great celebration over at Trafalgar Square. That the Indian diaspora is very huge back in the UK, and obviously in places like Leicester and Birmingham. I mean, the celebrations will be in full swing there too. So, that's the way it is.
I used to live in Brent, and there used to be a big Diwali festival there, so I remember what it was like. So let's
Beautiful.
see. Luca's here as well. Hi, Luca. I hope you're good. And Niall Kane, 2 points drop, mate. Yeah, 100%, Niall. 100%. Gavin O'Flaherty, he says, who the fuck is this guy? Sorry, Ron, I had to. Mate, that's hilarious. I like it. Fair play to you, buddy. And Joanne Smith, a shower of shit today. Yeah, it wasn't great, was it? And hello, Warren. Hello, Manny. Yeah, hi, Joanne. Nice to see you. Thanks for coming in. Craig AFC 87. That was a shambolic performance. Once again, yeah, it's now what, the fourth one on the trot, I think. So it's not good. And we did this earlier in the season. We had a few poor performances in a row, in my opinion, but we got away with it. Joanne says, great stream early on. Old School Gunner channel with Carl Walsh. Now another good stream. Well, fair play. I hope that went well. Craig AFC 87. Odegaard is another Ozil passenger. Yeah, he does tend to go missing quite a bit, doesn't he? So yeah, that's not good. Yeah, but we'll get and talk about that in a little while. And there he is, the main man, the owner of the channel, says Del Boy Gunner TV. Sorry guys, I can't make it. YouTube is lucky. I'm so fucking annoyed. Yeah, it's a bit unfortunate, but there you go. Del Boy will be back the next time. Don't worry about that.
Let me just say right now, the crack's a bit flat without you, mate, but we're going to do our best to keep it as good as possible.
Del Boy has got some things he needs to take care of, so
yeah, I know. You told me that. You told me that.
So Luca AFC says, I'm fuming. Yeah, well, so am I, buddy. So am I. So, Manny, what is your assessment of the game? What did you think?
I think we can safely say in a nutshell that it was a good thing that we had that performance and it wasn't rewarded, because it's a reminder that we cannot simply afford to let ourselves switch off and think that we can get away with it. We absolutely can't. I would say in hindsight that the first half was actually really good, because we did actually create more than a few chances, and we did force the Irish goalkeeper Gavin Bazunu to make a few saves. And but for some pretty poor refereeing, we would have certainly had a few more chances, and there were quite a few contentious calls. But in the second half, I think for some reason we just allowed ourselves to completely take our foot off the pedal, and that was when Southampton started to come back at us. And the worst part is, managers who do their homework will know that regardless of the formation, Southampton are usually a team, especially at St. Mary's, who will not lie down. They will fight back and fight back hard. They beat Chelsea at St. Mary's. They gave Manchester United a fairly tough game, and I'm pretty certain they will give Manchester City a tough game when they come over to St. Mary's as well. I was surprised when Hasenhüttl dropped Che Adams and opted to go with a lone striker in, I think it was Adam Armstrong. But even then, we were able to carve them open. One would say in hindsight that maybe Ralph should have stuck with his trusted 4-4-2 formation, which had served him so well in the past few games. And you do not drop the guy who scored the match winner for you in your last game, especially since that was a derby. And with Arsenal, it just goes to show that unless we can maintain our focus throughout the entire 90 minutes and not worry about external issues like refereeing decisions or what have you, we cannot hope to maintain a charge for the title or even the top four, because even though Chelsea and Manchester United drew, I mean, let's not pretend that they've fallen that far behind that they can't catch us up. They most certainly can. And Chelsea have to play us twice. We have to play them at Stamford Bridge, and then they come to the Emirates. So hopefully after this result, where we didn't get the 3 points, the manager and the team will sit down and say, look, it's not good enough. We have to be better. These past few games, we have not been up to scratch, and we really need to step up our performances. Otherwise, we will have a tough fight for the top four, and we definitely won't have any chance of challenging for the title if we continue to play this way.
No, absolutely, 100%, mate. Well, we've got another chap waiting in the wings, so I'm just going to bring him in. A fellow by the name of Martin. Martin, how are you, sir? Nice to see you. Thank you very much for coming on to Delboy's channel. Sorry, Delboy's not here, so he asked me to step in for him and hold the fort. My name's Warren. I don't think we've met before.
Hello, Warren.
So, yeah, thanks very much for coming in. So, what do you want to talk about the Arsenal game, or is there anything else you'd like to talk about?
Well, that's what I'm here for, Warren. So briefly, I'm obviously disappointed, although the world has been saved from me breaking into song. I was ready to start singing "The Nils Are Alive" to the sound of music, which only we Arsenal fans can appreciate. We've had 3 games in a week, and we had 3 clean sheets in a week. And for an old school Gooner, a very old school Gooner like me, that was terrific. I heard the end of what Manai, I hope I'm correcting that. I'm pronouncing that correctly, Manai or Mani?
It's Manny, as in Manny, as in manicure.
Manny.
Yes.
Manny. I heard the end of what Manny was saying, and of course I completely agree with him that against a behemoth like Manchester City, any slip-up is regrettable, to say the least. But equally, we're disappointed, but we didn't lose. That would be my summation. And that in itself was further proof of how far this team has come. Again, last season, 6 months ago, they lost that game. They played poorly today. They had a couple of chances with Jesus and Saka, who yet again has been the best player this season. And they didn't take those chances. At 2-0, Southampton haven't scored many goals. You would have been optimistic to hang on. But all things considered, it is still a very good start to the season. And one thing I've been saying to younger Gooners, which is almost everyone else, some of them have never seen an actual title challenge. I'm not saying this is a title challenge. The priority is to get in the top 4. But with any kind of top 4 bid or title bid in the long run, you have blips, you have draws, even Man City draws. So we're 11 games in, 9 wins, 1 draw, 1 defeat. I believe that is still, it certainly was last week, the best start in Arsenal's history. And as a old school Gooner who loves his history, that's very impressive. So disappointing today, but didn't lose. I've been thinking a lot about Brian Clough after Forest beat Liverpool yesterday, the most special one, as he must always be remembered. And Brian Clough was often unorthodox. And I would say, boys, have the day off tomorrow. I don't want to see you tomorrow. Go and play with your kids. Go and chill out. Play some PS4. They're playing game after game after game. Take a break. We've got Eindhoven and then Forest in the next week. We hope to win both of those 2 games. If we do, we're in great shape.
Sure, 100%. I couldn't agree more with you. And let's not remember, we've only dropped now, 5 points in all those games we played. So it's a phenomenal start. That being said, I think we've only scored 1 goal in each of our last 3-4 games, I think. My question to both of you, and I'm going to come to you first, Martin, with this one. Do you think we're clinical enough in front of goal to mount the challenge?
Sorry to interrupt, Warren. We certainly weren't today. We didn't create many chances today, and the two basically Saka and Jesus, who are usually so good at taking the ball on the run, they just quite weren't. It wasn't perfect today as it has to be, and I'm sure that's partly fatigue as well. But Jesus, my son who was watching with me today, who's one of the much younger Gooners, was saying that he wasn't prolific at Man City. I still think he's such a terrific addition to the team, because with Jesus, you have to factor in the goal assists as well. And I believe he hasn't scored in 5, but I'd be amazed if he hasn't contributed to a goal in 5. The big worry, obviously, is that there are 2 players who are irreplaceable at the moment if they get injured, and that is Jesus and Partey. We do not have like-for-like replacements for either of them. So in this weirdest of World Cup seasons, that's a worry. But I think the goals will come again. As I say, I would be giving them the day off tomorrow. I would be saying, you've done really well. See you again on Tuesday, and we go again.
100%. Yeah, no, I do agree with you. Personally, I would like to see Jesus play up front in a 2 with a partner who is more prolific. You know, someone who's going to bag a lot of goals. But because I do think he works really hard and he creates opportunities for other people. He pulls the defences, opposition defences out of position, and it just creates havoc with his work rate up front. And I think that's invaluable. I really do. But yeah, I agree with everything you said, Martin, 100%. Manny, what do you think about what I've just said? Do you think the team is prolific enough in front goal?
No, they're not. And here's the problem. I'm actually going to piggyback of what Martin said, and I want to compliment him for bringing up the example of Brian Clough. I believe, Roy Keane spoke about it. Wasn't Roy Keane. I believe it was some other footballer who spoke about it. I think he spoke about Martin O'Neill during his time at Leicester. It was Stan Collymore who talked about Martin O'Neill at Leicester, and O'Neill was sort of cut from the same cloth as Brian Clough because, of course, he was a part of that Forest team which rocked Europe with that 42-game unbeaten run in the First Division and won 2 consecutive European Cup titles. And you did mention that in one stream of yours, Warren. So, I will also say, and I'm also going to piggyback of what Martin has said as well when I believe he cited his son, who said that Jesus was not exactly very prolific. And he had a bit of a point, and even his goal-scoring record for the Brazilian national team, I remember saying that it wasn't really enough to shout about. So it's a case this season of both Jesus and Martinelli having started wonderfully well. Their combination has been terrific, but it's probably tailed off a little bit. Whether it's due to the fatigue of having played more than a few games a week now, with Europe having come into the equation, I'm not too sure. But it could surely be that, it could certainly be that fatigue has set in. And what you said there, Warren, about wanting to see Jesus play as part of a 2-man strike force up front, are you suggesting that you want to see a formation change necessarily?
Potentially, yeah.
Yeah.
Because I don't think that Jesus is going to score enough goals. I don't. If we want a challenge for a title, he's not going to score enough. All right.
Exactly.
It's either a formation change and he plays up front in the 2, and we have a formation change, or we have to use him as a backup striker. But the problem is he creates so much. That's what I like about him. It's like that, or we move him out onto one of the flanks. If we stay with this formation, something has to change because he isn't going to score enough goals for us to as the title challenge, in my opinion. I would either be looking to have a formation change and play up front with the 2, or if we're going to stay with this formation, he either has to go out to one of the flanks, but then what do you do with Saka and Martinelli? Or we have to use him as a backup, which and that's I think we'd lose too much if we dropped him out the side.
And therein lies the problem, because we also
play for. I want to just come in and bang goals. I just want them to focus on that. I don't want them running around and doing the workload that he is, because I just think it's going to take too much away from their game.
Yeah, you've got a point there, and that's also in some ways what happened with Aubameyang when I believe he was also moved out from the centre to the left, and I think that also started to contribute in a way to his output drying up, because I believe when he was playing under both Wenger and Emery, he was a part of a 2. I believe it was Aubameyang and Lacazette. And then, of course, with the advent of this 4-2-3-1 or 4-3-3, when you have a situation where sometimes you have you're either the lone striker and you've got more of the pressure, or you're part of a 3 and it's like, you think in theory that the workload will be shared, but in practicality doesn't work. You might not get the best out of them. So ideally, if we were to have a different manager would actually revert to the 4-4-2 and actually play Saka as more of a left winger so that he could interchange with Gabriel Martinelli. And a lot of people have actually regarded that is where Saka plays his best football, because he's so incorrigibly left-footed, you see, that when you stick him out on the right in the hope of trying to turn him into a Saka Mohamed Salah reincarnate. I don't know if he has the ability to maybe make that sudden turn to be able to, get onto his left foot really quickly and score that, shoot and score that often. Nicola Pepe was able to do that quite well, but now he's on loan. I just don't know if Saka can do that. And when you have when you add to that the fact that you've got Ben White at right back, who today actually played quite well, overlapped well, defended well. Earlier on in the season, he wasn't really up to it, but now he's improved. But when he wasn't up to it, Saka had to look behind his shoulder. So I'll get back to your question. Yeah, no, I don't think we're prolific. And yes, I like you, would like to see a formation change, preferably to a 4-4-2 where we have enough strength in the midfield. We can work with that and play Jesus and Martinelli as the top two so that they can feed off each other. And then you can also bring the best out of Saka by sticking him on the left wing, where, in my opinion, he belongs. If you put him on the right wing, you're probably not, in my opinion, going to get much out of his talent. But knowing Arteta as well as we do, I don't see him deviating from that formation he likes to play. So for the moment, we're stuck right now. Do we possibly evolve into a 4-3-3? We might have to take a look at that. And if we were to move Jesus to the flank, it would have to be someone prolific who could come in. And that would not be Eddie Nketiah. So would it be Martinelli in the centre? I don't know.
No. Okay, look, there's a few chats building up, so I'm just quickly gonna go through those, and then I'm gonna ask you two guys another question and give you the opportunity to have one more comment about what we've just talked about. James Dunlop says, "Afternoon, lads. First half, you should have put the game to bed. Southampton grew into the game second half and got the goal. Overall, 1-1 was the right result, I thought, in the end." Yeah, I have to agree with you, James. I do think that's true. Cheap Heat Productions podcast. And, mate, I think your name's Morris. I think I've seen you a few times on Niall's channel. So welcome. Nice to see you, mate. He says we need a better squad. First 11 is fine, but we ran out of steam. We did a bit. I think the second half we faded a wee bit. And Gavin O'Flaherty, the referee was right as our second half performance. Yeah, absolutely. Fair play, mate. Lucas says, fuming. Yeah, you. I don't blame you, mate. I don't. Fitz Joseph, we were complacent, stayed in second gear, lacked any hunger, and our finishing was extremely poor, very bad today. And don't get me started on Gibraltar. Less said about that, the better, I think. But yeah, thanks very much, Fitz Joseph. As you can see, I'm not Del Boy, but I'm standing in for Del Boy tonight. So thank you for coming in, and thank you very much for your comment. And it wasn't a great performance today, but at least we didn't lose, and we're still. We still got an excellent start to the season. So let's not throw the baby out with the bathwater at this stage.
Well said.
Joanne says, we are not playing well. We are not showing to be title contenders. No, we're not playing well, but we're not losing, are we? So that's the most important thing. So, that's really, really important. Niall says, thought the ref was well out of his depth. Well, he wasn't great, was he? Let's be honest. Craig AFC said the ref had a shocker, but I'm not blaming the ref for the result. We needed to finish our chances. 100%, mate. You can talk about referees, you can talk about VAR, you can talk about linesmen, all you want. But at the end of the day, if you don't take your chances, you're not going to win football matches, and we didn't. So, 100%. NF says, hit the like button. Yeah, guys, there's at the moment, there's 9 of you in the chat. Any of you that haven't hit the like button, please do that for Del Boy. And if you haven't subscribed to his channel, please, please, please subscribe to his channel. Also, make sure that you go and subscribe to his son's channel, Zach Football TV. excellent channel. There's a brilliant video on there as well about Zach unblocking the drain, which is very entertaining. Carlos Eduardo says this is what happens when you keep playing same certain players every midweek and weekend. They will get burned out. 100%, mate. Yeah, and again, that's what happens when you don't have enough squad depth. Mr. B for life said, big up panel and the live chat. You lot may have been shit today, but not as shit as us who lost 4-0 to a shit manager in this Villa team. Yeah, that's not a good result at all, is it? So I do feel for you. Mind you, I have to say I wish I had your striker, that's for sure. Okay, so Martin, I'm just going to ask you about what do you think we need to do to when we've got these games where we're struggling to assert our authority, which seemed to be happening this afternoon in the second half, what do you think we need to do to be able to turn draws like this that we had today into a victory?
Well, Warren, I was going to say, I'll make this final remark and then I've got to head off. But thank you and Bellboy for having me on. Thank you, Manny. Thank everyone else for listening. I would say in this weirdest of World Cup a season with a World Cup in the middle is just so crazy that I hope it never, ever happens again. Just briefly taking the big picture, it's very likely that many more players will be missing from this World Cup than from other World Cups, simply because you would have had 3 weeks to a month from the end of a season. This is going straight into it. Look at France, for example. They're already missing N'Golo Kante. Pogba looks certain to miss it. Varane, I believe, is an injury doubt. That's the spine of their team. And so the point being, in this season, it's okay to be short-term. You get through to the World Cup, and then you assess where you are. And I'll make one point about that briefly before coming on to the other point about how to assert authority more, Warren. I did think today, I began to see, others may have realised before, but because it's the World Cup season, I'm pretty sure that Arteta must be now saving Tierney and Zinchenko, who won't be at the World Cup. I'm sure he's saying to White and Tomiyasu, who will be at the World Cup, keep playing, and then, you get through to the World Cup, and then it will be the turn of Tierney and Zinchenko. That's where a squad will really work this season. You're going to need players to have a rest after the World Cup. The final point I make, Warren, is you were talking about how to assert authority. I think it comes back to the point I made earlier, that there are two areas that we really need to strengthen still. Every team eternally needs to strengthen. We know that, even, Real Madrid, but what we need in particular, we need more in midfield. Partey and Xhaka have been very good, but we need another central midfielder there. Tielemans has been highly floated in the summer. He would be ideal, I think, if he's fit and motivated, and I think he would be at us, but there are others as well. And obviously you do need another striker. Jesus, I think, has been terrific. I don't think there's any chance, Warren, of our changing our formation while Saka and Martinelli, the two best young wingers, wide attackers in Europe, are playing so well. And they are. All their stats this season are terrific. Goals, assists, goals involvement. They didn't play well today, but that's one game. So I think every team will need to strengthen in January. They do now, let alone post the World Cup in the middle of a season, which is a one-off. And as I say, will be a one-off forever. With that, Warren, if I may, I'll say goodbye. Thanks very much for having me on. I hope to join you again, and all the best to DB himself. Bye for now.
All right. Thank you very much, Martin. Have a lovely evening. Take care.
Take care.
Thank you.
Sir.
All the best.
Thank you.
Cheers. Bye-bye. Manny?
I think he's pretty much nailed it, to be honest. And I'm a little bit intrigued when he spoke about how he wanted to, give White and Tomiyasu more opportunities. I don't even think it's a certainty, mind you, that Ben White will be at the World Cup, because let's face it, we brought him to Arsenal as a central defender, 50 million down the drain, if you like, and we're playing him as an auxiliary right back. And he's not even meant to be a right back. He only started the season as a right back because of circumstances like injuries to Tomiyasu and the fact that Cedric wasn't even considered good enough to be in the picture. So I definitely don't think he'll make the World Cup squad. And the thing about Ben White is that he's got his chance. He's improved this season. So Arteta probably feels as though there is no other option but to keep him. But I know that you're going to be seething with this. The idea that you could drop Kieran Tierney to the bench after he had a more than decent game against PSV and bring in Tomiyasu. I mean, this is one of the reasons why you and I, neither of us can truly abide by Arteta, because it's one thing to make a horses for courses selection for a certain game and have that pay off, but to try and do that again and again, thinking that you've struck gold, you've had your eureka moment, and you want to repeat that. I'm sorry, but that's just hubris in excelsis. Because Tomiyasu had many weak moments against Leeds United, and when Tierney came on, Tommy moved straight back to the right wing where he is at his most effective. And one thing which we definitely need to do, and one thing which we should have done, was strengthen the squad when we had the chance. You'll remember that in the September window, we had the chance to get a decent defensive midfielder. We fell over ourselves on the final day to try and get Douglas Luiz to sign for us. And mind you, Aston Villa, in preparing to let Douglas Luiz go, signed 2 players that day, Bednarek from Southampton and Dendoncker from Wolves, to prepare for Douglas Luiz's departure. At the very end, it fell through, and now Luiz has signed a new contract. And to hear Arteta, compliment himself for saying that they showed discipline and not making a panic buy, they literally panicked to try and get Luiz. But that sort of segues back into the issue of squad depth and the fact that we need to strengthen, because we are playing effectively the same first 11 game after game after game after game in the Premiership. And that same 11, with the possible exception of Aaron Ramsdale, are feeling the fatigue. Is our bench strength that bad? Clearly it is. When you have a situation where you go to an away Europa League game against Bodo Glimt and you only have 3 centre-backs in the squad, technically, of course, 4, but one of them is, of course, the auxiliary right-back in Ben White, it doesn't really look good for the squad in any way. And so we still need to do a lot of work to strengthen the squad in January. And there will be some concerns that with the World Cup, the value of players will end up skyrocketing. But you know what? I don't care, because I'm sick of this penny-wise, pound-foolish approach to transfers, which cost us last season when we needed a midfielder. We didn't get it. We lost to Tottenham and Newcastle and saw our top 4 hopes go down the drain. I don't want to see a repeat of that this season. And after the World Cup, games are going to be coming thick and fast. Premiership, Europa League, domestic cups. What are we going to do then? Where is our squad depth? And so in January, the club are going to have to, pull their fingers out of their mouths and just do what they need to do. And if they don't, if they're not going to take themselves seriously, if the club is not going to take itself seriously, the club has no right to expect other people to take that club seriously. Credit, of course, to Steve-O, the Aussie Gooner, for that quote.
So I'm just going to go through some of these chats before I introduce the next fellow who's sitting there patiently. Nice to see you, mate. Thanks very much for coming on.
Thank you.
He says, can you put the links to the 3 of your channels in the comments, please, lads? Gavin, I'm the only one who's got a channel. Well, I know that Gooner Claude has. If you can put your link into the if you want to, mate, if you can do that, that'd be brilliant. And I know that Manny is going to be setting up a channel, but he hasn't done it as of yet, Gavin. So I've put my link to my channel in the chat, and later I will put it in as a comment in the comments section. Ryan Stockley, that sort of game is why Arteta is not the guy, and he's never been the guy. I have to say, mate, I agree with you about that. Carlos Eduardo says you're doing a great job, Warren. Thank you very much, Carlos. Nice to see you, buddy. Mr. B for life, our striker done fuck all today. I just don't think he's prolific enough. That's why I think he does a lot of other work, but he's there to score goals. That's the main reason he's in the team. And that's why I want, but the work he does is really, really important. And that's why I want a formation change, and I want him to play up front in the two.
Warren, I think he was talking about Ivan Toney today because Brentford didn't score.
Striker. Yeah. Sorry, mate. I thought he was talking about Jesus. He's. I know. Obviously, I didn't see the game, so I'm sure you know much better than what I do. So I'm sorry to hear that, buddy. The upper tier, big up, lads. Not easy keeping City at bay. So nice to see you. No, I hope you're well, mate. Ryan Stockley, does anyone know how serious the Varane injury is? Because he was in tears at the bridge. That doesn't sound good. I've got no idea, to be honest, mate. I don't know if the other two do. In a minute, we'll talk to them about that. Ryan says, go get Xavi Simons from PSV. I don't know him, mate. Honestly, I couldn't watch the game the other night. I had a COVID jab earlier in the morning, and I felt awful, so I just went to sleep. Mr. B for life, Tillemans or Maddison? Me, all day long, it has to be Maddison. I think he's an absolutely superb player, and I'd get him in to replace Odegaard because I don't think Odegaard is doing enough. Maddison just be. Yeah, I agree with Ryan. Darren Sullivan's in the chat. Afternoon, Darren. I hope you're good, mate. Nice to see you. Afternoon, all. We look tired in the second half. Nketiah looked like he's struggling. Poor first touch day. Had 20 minutes and did very little. He's... I don't know what to say about it. I just think he's another one who's not progressing. And I don't think necessarily it's his fault. I think there is an issue at Arsenal with coaching. And I think it needs to be looked into. Mr. B for life says, Ryan, 100%. And then, there is anyone who wants to come, there's the link. Just click on that link and you'll be able to get in. Darren says Arteta is a left-back academy. It looks that way, mate, doesn't it? It really does. Ryan Stockley says if Ben White is at the World Cup, then forget it. I don't know, man. I don't know what to say about that. I don't think he's great. No, maybe Southgate can get more out of him. I don't know. Ben Shite for Shite England. I'm not convinced about Southgate as England manager. I don't think he's that great, but you can't argue with his records. Most successful England manager ever, apart from winning the actual tournaments. He's got further in the World Cups than any other manager, except for when they won it. So, you have to say big up to him. Darren Sullivan says Saliba looks like he's being affected by paper talk. This is Arteta's failure coming back to bite us. He may be looking to move to France due to Arteta's failings, possibly. But I wouldn't be surprised if one of the giants comes in for him, maybe a Real Madrid or a Barcelona. Man City might start having a look at him if he keeps performing the way he is. Darren says there's a big chance Arteta can mess this up. He has done it in the past season. Mr. B for life. Luis is shit. You should be glad you didn't get him. Mr. B for life. Big up, Tony. You legend. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. B. God bless you.
Getting his opinions about things. So I'm absolutely delighted to see him here. Darren Sullivan, nice to see you, pal. And we've just got a few more. I won't be long now. Gavin O'Flaherty says, cheers, Warren. No problem, mate. It's an absolute pleasure. Darren Sullivan says, hello, Ryan. Good to see you also, mate. Ryan Stockley, good to see Warren and Manny. And cheers, Darren, he says as well. And then Gavin O'Flaherty, you're finishing 5th in a 4-horse race last season. He's always in my head too, Darren. And I think more to go, dear me. And Darren says it's not only City 4 points lead, is now 2. We have 2 winnable games coming up. If I were Arteta, I'd be telling them to get the games wrapped up by half time. Yeah, we need to be more clinical in front of goal. Absolutely. Mr. B for life. Eddie Murphy, Beverly Hills flop. And Ryan Stockley.
Very clever.
Totally agree, Warren. Everyone goes on about Jesus being the answer, but he isn't a prolific goal scorer, and he wasn't even trusted by Pep when they didn't have a striker. Sums it up. Sadly, I've looked at his record, his goal scoring record. He hasn't been prolific anywhere in his career, to be fair. So I think it's a bit much to expect him to go from a team where he's surrounded by world-class players to come to a team where he isn't and then suddenly double his output. I just don't think it's going to happen. So that's that. Right, so I'm going to say a big welcome to Tony Claude, Gunner TV, Anthony. Thanks very much for coming in, mate. Obviously, you can see I'm not Del Boy.
Yeah.
Had to go off and do something, so he asked me to hold the fort for him. So that's why I'm here. So, Tony, I saw you was on Northside's channel doing a
yeah. I had to leave there to come down here. You know, yeah. I had to leave there. I've been facing heat down there, so I decided to transfer to a place where I could get a little bit of a cold, and a hug.
What did you think? What was your thoughts?
See, Ryan, it's a big pleasure to be sitting next to you. Thank you very much. I've already had the honor of sitting to the next gentleman beside us, Mr. Manny, and he's also a regular on my station, actually. I know he would be having smiles at this period, at least spells of smiles at this period that we've had a little bit of a lapse, not because of not because of his commitment to the team, but just to tell me, Anthony, I told you so. But see, I just want to say here that this is one of those games, that we have to take as part of the learning process. It should be one of those games. I wouldn't use this as an excuse to kind of slag Gabriel Jesus, in the media in any way. But again, we have to bring all these things into context. Arsenal had a ball possession of about 69 to 31 in the first half. What are you doing with such possession when you cannot translate them into goals? We had opportunities to kill this game. Yeah, I know. Even before going to St. Mary's today, we already knew that St. Mary's, it's a kind of like a dodgy place for us to go to. Not because this team is miraculously a very, very big team or like a team that we should actually be respecting, but it's just that Arsenal have been known to drop the ball when they're in St. Mary's. And I'm sorry, again, it happened today again. I don't know. St. Mary's is one of those boogie places we go to. No matter the league positions in the table, it just has something down there that we don't just want to get into the act and finish the game. We started in a very, very superior way. We handled the ball in the midfield. It was totally us. Our defense helping our midfield. Thomas Partey was everywhere. His marks was written everywhere around the midfield. But suddenly, that game closes, and we coming back, and then Southampton are running us ragged in the midfield. Thomas Partey was left out there to dry. There was no one around in the midfield to be able to help him to actually curtail the kind of pressure that he was getting from Prowse and Mohammed. They were just really like peppering our midfield, and they were also throwing looping balls to be able to find Armstrong. It was very, very. I don't know. Today was just very shocking because the way we dropped our intensity, the way we drop it, and Arsenal, as I always see, is that we're always. It's an habitual thing these days for us to actually drop our intensity in the second half. In the first half, we always go offensively. We try to make these teams make mistakes and do other kind of stuff for us to get early goals. That's Arsenal's pattern this season. But I've always noticed, and it's now becoming a pattern right now, that when we come back in the second half, we always seem to drop the ball. We drop that intensity, which is the quality in the first place that actually hands us our win almost throughout the season. And for us to just drop it just like that, it's something that's not desirable, if we want to put it. And secondly, this is where tactical awareness has to come into play. In the second half, Thomas Partey was being overrun in that midfield. What would I have done? Probably maybe if I was Mikel Arteta. See, Mikel Arteta is a good coach. I'm not here to slag him. If you're expecting that from me, I'm sorry. I won't slag the coach. But again, he has to take a little bit of the blame today, in a way, because sometimes you have to be positionally and tactically aware of what is really going on. I just felt that Thomas Partey was being overrun in that middle. And what do you do when he's being overrun by Prowse and El Anusi, Mohammed? What do? You try and shut up that midfield. And to me, nothing was done. And when you've been overpressured, and Granit Xhaka, who actually has been good today, should have at least been able to drop back a little bit. Odegaard to be able to drop back a little bit in that midfield area and help Thomas Partey mop up that pressure he was getting, because we were just inviting lots of pressure from from the midfield of Southampton. And what did that do to us? Of course, it totally overheated. And what happened? It cost that goal. Mohamed was left to have that run from Ben White. Ben White should have actually stopped that ball from coming in for him to even cross it past that lovely pass down to Armstrong. It should have been cut from Ben White. And what was Gabriel doing? He was just caught there, watching with his hands tucked behind him. Tomiyasu was dribbled away from goal. So see, we dropped the ball in the second half. Is this the end of the road? The answer is no, it's not the end of the road. Are we still top of the table? Yes, we're top of the table. What are the consequences of this? Now, the consequences of this is quite simple. Manchester City will be breathing down our necks, provided we are at the top of that table. They will be coming. The pressure is on. So what do we have to do now? We have to make sure we have the personnel. At least no one gets injured. That's the first thing. Secondly, Mikel Arteta have to talk to these boys that we have right now to be able to help them mentally, to be able to prepare for our next games coming up. We thank God we don't have very, very tough games coming up. At least our next two games aren't really that tough. But we need to get through this period. Bounce back next week. Get in on the act again. Try and score. The biggest problem we had today was our scoring department. Martinelli was very, very poor today. And obviously, that's why he was hacked off in the second half today. Extremely poor. And mind you, for Mikel Arteta, because he really does trust Martinelli in his team always. But for him to actually remove Gabriel Martinelli today really shows, and replace him with Eddie Nketiah really shows how poor Gabriel Martinelli was today. It was extremely poor, and it didn't help the offense and our offensive formation today in any way. He didn't contribute to it. So he had to be hacked off in the second half, definitely. Did Eddie Nketiah bring any difference to the team? The answer is no. And this is the reason why I'm saying that we need to dip our hands into that transfer market in January. If I was Mikel Arteta right now and Edu, I wouldn't be resting on our laurels right now. What will I be doing? I'll be talking to agents right now. I'll be calling the agent of Mitrovic. I'll be calling the agent of several strikers that can be able to help us and gear us up towards this title push, because that's what we need. We need a separate centre back who will be coming into that team and help to be as a check or help to be a foil facing Gabriel Magalhaes, because Gabriel Magalhaes have come for actually is at the back end of real shocking defending this season. He just tucked his arms in the back and was just ball watching. What are you doing as our most experienced defender? In in that Arsenal team, you should be doing better. You should be commanding your back four better. That's why we need to bring in Ivan Indika from Eintracht Frankfurt, who Arsenal is being linked to for the January transfer window. We need to get that guy in. Tall, 6 foot plus, ready to defend. We need to bring those kind of guys in, because right now Gabriel Magalhaes is looking at the bench and he's seeing Rob Holding. That's not an effective kind of like a foil in a way, like a kind of competitive kind of replacement for him. So he's not having the necessary competition down that line. You need competition. And who is causing all this? It's the Arsenal board, of course. They need to bring in competition that can effectively cause headaches to that first 11, because right now Gabriel Magalhaes is not seeing that competition at all. He just sees Holden, and there's no competition. He's happy. He can make these mistakes all over again. And secondly, again, Ben White. Ben White is not your typical right back. It's just a makeshift one. We should be looking in these positions in January if we're to move further and bring in Ben White to his normal position, which is as a centre back. We need all these things, and that means that we need to resort to our January transfer window to get in these guys and help us in this title challenge that we have. So see, the wheels haven't fallen. I just want to correct a lot of notions here. The wheels haven't fallen, the roofs aren't off, the knobs aren't thrown off. This is just one of those games that we should take as a learning process towards that title or towards that title push. We should learn from this. Even Manchester City dropped points against Aston Villa. They were meant to beat them. They dropped points against Newcastle United. Of course, Newcastle is a different cat in the pond right now, but of course they drop points against these people that naturally they should be beating. So Arsenal, we all knew that going to St. Mary's to be a dodgy one, but we should be putting them on toast. But let's just take it as one of those games we have to learn from it, understand from it. I expect Mikel Arteta to be looking at video evidence right now. What went wrong in this team? What went wrong in the second half? Because you cannot be telling me that a team that got 69% of the ball possession to 31 in an away game in St. Mary's of all places, you can't be telling me that that team cannot be putting up a 60-40 ball possession in the second half. It's totally not good enough. Video evidence should be taken. You should understand what made us drop our intensity in that second half. Why Thomas Partey was being left to roast in the center of the park in the midfield. Why White kept on making lots of mistakes. Why Thomas Partey kept giving up the ball in the middle of the park. Why Gabriel Jesus did not take his chances that he should have actually and naturally been taken. Why Saka, instead of shooting the ball into the net, was actually taking a dive in the first half. Why Gabriel Martinelli wasn't really in the game today and had to be hacked off in the second half. We need to check all these dynamics and come correct in the next game.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Tony, for that in-depth assessment. And I agree with most of what you said. I like the analogies that you come out with. For me, I think I agree with you. I don't think the wheels have come off, but I think the car's probably got a warning light to let the petrol is running low. So we need to take some action. That's what my assessment of it would be. Anyway, we've got 12 people in the chat. So any of you that haven't hit the like button yet, please make sure you do that. Anyone who hasn't subscribed to the channel, please make sure you do that for Del Boy. There is a few more chats here that I need to read out before I come to see the legend that is waiting there in the wings, Mr. Carl Walsh. And I'll be coming to you shortly, mate, to get your thoughts. So Mr. B for Life says, Warren, what was your first Arsenal game? My first ever Arsenal game was at Highbury in September 1972.
Wow.
So it's showing my age a wee bit. I was a mere 5-year-old youngster. Arsenal against Liverpool. And it was
more than 50 years ago. Outstanding. You still remember
that? Arsenal against Liverpool. The game ended in 0-0. And it's the famous game where Jimmy Hill ended up having to be a linesman because the linesman got injured. So, yeah. And, yeah, I remember that quite well, actually, funnily enough. But anyway, so next comment. Darren says, disagree, mate. The learning is over. Results now, not excuses. We are meant to be the real deal now. Darren says, I have to say the ref was a joke today. Where was VAR when Saka got fouled? Instead, he got booked. Poor ref. The foul on Saka was a pen. Darren says, our lack of squad depth showed today. Edu, Arteta are in the dock for that. Yeah, because if we'd had decent midfield replacements on the bench, we could have brought someone on to shore up that midfield, because it reminded me of the Brighton game away last year where we drew 0-0 and we were getting overrun in that game in the midfield as well, where Thomas Partey was trying to control the midfield on his own. Darren said, don't think Martinelli was that poor, to be honest. Mr. B for Life, at least Xhaka had his boots on again. And Darren says Mitrovic would be very good, like this Mirik as well from Shakhtar. Mr. B for Life, Bozo shouldn't have got a new deal. The thing is about him, it's historically Brazil have never produced good centre-backs. And as you've just found out, I've been watching football since the 70s. And they were a side who, a bit like Arsene Wenger's Arsenal latterly, where they would like try and outscore sides. And that's how they played. So maybe it's a cultural thing. Darren Sidin is a player for friendlies. Yeah, I think you're probably right, mate. I don't think he's good enough, to be honest. Thought Ben White did well today, said Darren. He's a better right back than centre back. Yeah, I certainly agree with that, Darren. And Darren says, no, not a learning process. No way. We are here and now. And Peter Hayward, why are you not tuned into Sky right now? Well, that's why I put him in timeout. I didn't like that comment, I have to say. Peter Hayward, well, we're not reading that. We're going to put that fella in timeout. Darren, Peter, Ryan, oh, yeah, we've had that. Afternoon, Walshy, says Darren. And then Peter, yeah, okay, guys, let's just ignore him. Darren, Peter, your team are playing Newcastle now. Go and watch them. Exactly. So anyway, let's forget about that Peter chap. We got better things to talk about than him. I'm going to bring in Carl Walsh Gunner now, the top man, Wexford's finest. Carl, what did you think about the match, man?
First of all, I'd like to say a big up to you all there, lads, and us and all the lads sitting at home in the chat. Big up to each and one of us. Great to be on here today. So, you know me, Warren, no holds barred. I don't take any prisoners, so I'm going to say what I feel.
Fair play to you,
No
mate.
more fucking excuses. Today, Arsenal Football Club have been shambolic. This is a result that was waiting to come our way for the last 3 or 4 games. We've been fucking terrible. We were lucky against Leeds. I had a sneaky feeling that we're going to be in trouble today myself. And we could have easily lost that game today. The current squad of players that we have is embarrassing. That Eddie fucking Nketiah, I don't ever want to see him with an Arsenal jersey on him again. He's an absolute embarrassment to the club. Odegaard, once again, Mr. fucking Odegaard has proven to me what he really is. Not good enough. This is the captain of our club. He's not good enough. Now,
Mate, I can't
how
disagree
many
with
times
you.
did Thomas Partey give away the ball today? I lost count. Every fucking time he gave the ball away. Vieira is coming on, Odegaard is coming off, and we're bringing on Vieira. You might as well bring on my daughter. This is not good enough. Ben White is a fucking joke of a player. He was also at fault for the goal. No more excuses, Warren. This team, this club, should be fighting to win the Premier League with Man City. And here we are, back to the same shit all over again. And believe me, this is where our season starts going downhill rapid.
Kyle,
Because we have a fucking Aegis as a manager.
yeah. Kyle, you know,
saying, what does he do for this club? Now, let me tell you another thing. Let me get this off my fucking chest. I'm sick saying it. Jesus, not fucking good enough either, Warren. For me, for my club to compete, to win the top trophies, we can't be relying on Jesus. He's not going to score you 25 goals a season. Forget about it. He brings a different dimension to the game. I'm not saying he's a bad player. He's good at what he does. He's a nuisance. He's a nightmare for defenders. But he won't score you the goals that we need to score.
see, that's
You
why
can sit there all day long. You can make up as many excuses as you want. Not good enough today. No excuses. Shambles. Fucking shambles. We should be going down to Southampton and we should be beating them. Ain't the fucking story. This is Arsenal Football Club.
True.
Ain't the fucking story. Not good enough. Players not good enough today. Performance not good enough today. Fuck.
Yeah.
I'm fucking
No,
sick
no,
of it.
I agree with you, buddy. The thing is, for me, you know what I think about what is going on at the club. We've spoken about it several times. I think the problem starts from the top and comes down from there. Until the owner is replaced, I don't think nothing much is going to change because there's no pressure being put on him to change. And I'm not convinced that he wants to be successful. I don't, because I honestly believe if we qualify for the Champions League, we would have to spend a humongous amount of money in order to be competitive at the deep end of the competition. All right. And you're right about what you said about Jesus. He's not going to score 25 goals. The thing is, what we need to remember, he wasn't prolific at Manchester City. He's never been prolific in his career. And at Manchester City, he was playing in a team that was full of world-class players, some of the best players in their positions in the world. He's come to Arsenal where that's not the case. So why do we suddenly expect him to go and score more goals? However, that being said, I do think he brings something important to the club in terms of his mentality, his work rate, the way that he runs the field. It upsets the opposition defenders. He pulls people out of position, all that sort of stuff, which is grand. But you need someone who is a killer up front. and we haven't got it because he ain't going to do it. We need a killer goal scorer, someone who's going to bag 25 goals plus a season, because we haven't got it and we need it. So yeah, I agree with almost everything you said there, man. I really do.
You said something very, very important. He's not that killer. We totally understand that. But there was also a very, very focal point you placed an emphasis on, and it was that in Manchester City, he had killers around him. In Arsenal, does he have killers to provide him those goals? The answer is no. So what do we do? Rather than, see, I'm not all up here to just say, see, Edu should be picking up the phone right now, and as we speak, right now, and be calling potential midfielders who are going to come to the club to play for the team. He should be with their agents, talking to them right now, picking phone calls, talking to them, agreeing fees, agreeing contracts, and whether we like it or not, Gabriel Magalhaes just signed his contract. Now, a long-term contract, just this week, as we speak, this past week. That's when Gabriel Magalhaes signed his new contract. Now, what about Saka's contract? For crying out loud. These are young kids. These kind of things affect them. It affects their mentality. True, they're young kids. They're not like we grown men that can be able to process things in a more matured way. We can be able to wait. We can be able to keep our emotions, in a way, at least, in check and play for the good of the club if we were to play, for instance. But these are young kids with their emotions flying high and flying everywhere right now, because I don't see a reason why Martinelli was having quite good performances in the start of in our first 5-6 games, and then when his contract talk started about 2 weeks ago, all up in the media with Chelsea actually throwing their hat into it, PSG actually throwing their hat into it, same thing with Saka, and suddenly the performances are beginning to drain. We begin to see a little bit of a drop off. Is it affecting them mentally? It's easy for us to say no, but trust me, these are young kids. These things do affect them in a way. We need to sort all these things out, and that's why the board is key. The board is very key in terms of player recruitment and in terms of giving contract to whom contract should be given. People like Saka should be signing their contracts, done and sealed by now, and just focus on your football. Right now, Martinelli, give him the amount of money he wants and allow these guys to play. So the board has to come for lots of criticism from me at this time, because they're the ones that haven't given Mikel Arteta an extra striker. Yeah, of course, Nketiah signed a new contract. For me, is it good enough to play in our first 11? The answer is no. Is it good for as a squad player? At least it could help in the Europa League or whatever. Good and okay. But we still do need strikers that are killers. We still do need central defenders and central midfielders that are killers, that can come in and help a Gabriel Jesus score more goals. We do need this. And right now, we're not surrounded by killers at this time. I'm sorry to say. So the board really has to be on top of calls by January.
So I'm just going to go through stats. And Gavin says, well done, Wilson. And then Craig says, the screws are finally falling off from the wheels. It's been like this for the last 3-4 Premier League games. Niall Quinn says, get me in, Del. Yeah, the link's in the chat, mate. If you want to just click on the link, we'll be able to get you in. And Mr. B for Life says, laugh my effing arse off. Loris is a total prat. Came flying out of his goal, fucked up, and Wilson put it in an open goal. There you go. Link to John Niall. It says, Del Boy, I can't see the point in bringing Nketiah on. The guy is utter crap. Yeah, I mean, personally, I think he should have been sent out on loan. what is he now? He's like 25, something like that. I just don't think it's ever going to happen. I mean, let's be honest. When he was at Leeds, he struggled, and I just think we need better than him. Darren says, don't forget, these are the easiest set of fixtures I've ever seen in the league. Yeah, it has been quite straightforward and simple. And the Southampton, but let's not forget as well, we have got a really bad record away at Southampton. But records are there to be broken, and we need to step up. And this club has spent near on £400 million since Mikel Arteta has been here, and we're in this situation, and I don't think it's acceptable, to be honest. I think question marks need to start being asked if the club don't start challenging. Here's the link, guys, for anyone who wants to come in. Ryan Stockley says, Gabriel, the bozo gene. Darren Sullivan says Sullivan needs tying down as well. He's the reason we've done so well, more than the others. Yeah, he's been superb since he's been here. Darren says 2-0 the Geordies. Who are they playing, by the way, Newcastle?
They're playing sports right now. They're actually playing sports as we speak.
But 2-0 down, so that's good news. And Almiron been awesome this season so far with another goal. So there you go, guys. So I'm going to come because Carl is the latest one to join the chat. What do you think? I'm going to ask you this to all of you. What do you think Arsenal will achieve this season in terms of position, cups, and the domestic cups and the Europa League?
Nothing. 0.
Okay. Right, fair enough. But where do you think we'll finish in the league, Carl? Where do you think we'll get knocked out of the cups? And what do you think will happen in Europa League? How far do you reckon we'll go in the cup competitions? And where do you think we'll finish in the league?
We get knocked out in the quarterfinals of the Europa League once we come up against one of the big boys out of the Champions League.
Yeah.
We'll get as far as the quarterfinal in the Carling Cup, and we get to the semi-final in the FA Cup.
Okay.
We finish in the Premier League. We'll finish. I still think we'll get top 4, so I'm saying 4th, but I want us to finish 2nd, Warren. I want us to fight with Man City for the Premier League.
No, I agree with you, brother.
Fair shout.
Never mind this 3rd and 4th spots. I'm not fucking interested in it. Top 2. No excuses. Top 2. Don't get top 2. Arteta, fuck off out of the club. Simple. Fucking how long does this fella need? 300, nearly 400 million on this squad of players, and you're bringing on Eddie fucking Nketiah. And this fucking Fabio Vieira, fuck off. Fucking bullshit. The way things are going, Newcastle United will overtake us. I'll tell you, Warren, I'm fucking sick today. No excuses. We should be able to go down there and beat Southampton. I want top 2. I want us to win a cup competition this season. If not, fuck off.
It's good to see you on top form again, Carl. Are you going to be doing a video about your thoughts later for your channel? Carl?
Say that again, Warren. You broke up on me. Say that again.
Will you be uploading a video later giving your assessment?
I will be. And I will be for the Fantastic.
I will. Good man. Manny, what do you think in response to the question that I just asked Carl? How do you think it'll pan out for the club?
We certainly won't make the Europa League final. I predict. I don't know if we will. I'm not going to say that we won't. We'll lose in the quarters, but we're certainly not going to go as far as we hope to go. Certainly not with the way we performed in the group stages. Even against PSV, I mean, we dominated PSV, to be fair, but another 1-0 win. I think we really need to do better. And unless we strengthen in January, that won't happen. In the cup competitions, again, as I said, Warren, after the World Cup, games are going to be coming thick and fast. And we do not have the bench strength to be able to cope with all of those games. It'll effectively be a case where we play a hybrid team of first teamers and a few fringe players. And then when we get to the business end of those competitions, if we face another one of the bigger teams or a team that plays better on the day, we may, if we're lucky, make the semi-finals in the League Cup, maybe the quarterfinals of the FA Cup. As for the league, I still have us finishing in the top 4, definitely. And listening to Kyle speak, I'm in two minds, because we want to talk about progress and we want to see the club moving forward. At least with the carrot of the Champions League, we could get a bigger influx of money, and that could lead us to potentially buying a few more players. The only problem I have with that is that, as Kyle will agree, by the end of the season, Arteta will have had more than twice as long as Unai Emery. And surely, having 3 seasons in, he should have had enough time to be able to build a team that can absolutely challenge. And the fact that we haven't been able to build that squad capable of challenging even now and really see that challenge being maintained shows that we do have a soft centre, and that we weren't able to strengthen in the transfer windows. And for that, as much as we can blame the board as well, Mikel Arteta has to share some of the blame. And for all of this narrative about how he's cleaned out the dead wood and taken away some rotten elements from the club, I think it's fair to say as well that several of those rotten elements would have been encouraged to perform with the right manager in, a manager with that combination of experience and clout who knows how to set standards from the beginning, but also knows how to get players on his side and get players to respect him. And that is why, once again, going back to that stream you made about Carlo Ancelotti, if he had joined the club, I bet you there would be no way that we would have had the disciplinary problems that have supposedly plagued Arteta's reign and have sort of forced him to take action after the fact. Because Ancelotti would never have allowed those disciplinary standards to slip, but he also would have gotten the youth and the experienced players on his side. There wouldn't have been any fallings out. So I think Arteta has to take some blame in many ways, and I would like to see him achieve a little bit of success. But if he can't achieve any success, I think we can all agree, if he can't even fit to the top 4 this season, he has to go. And sadly, I don't see the board letting him go either, because they're going to spin another narrative about how well we've done, and it will be back to the same circle that was there in the last few years under Wenger. We don't want to see that happening again, but I fear that that's what will happen.
Thank you, Manny. Tony, before I come to you, all right, I'm just going to go through the chats. Here we go. Craig FC, we need to give Brentford 45 million for Ivan Toney in January. I'd like to see him to come to the club. I really would. League and Europa double. Come on, you go, Levin. I hope so, buddy. Craig says, Mr. B for Life says, Craig, give us 70 million plus Jesus and you can have him. I'm not sure that Arsenal will do that. Ryan Stockley says there are more important cogs than I will. We need to tie it down before Gabriel, surely. Mate, I can't say I disagree with you, mate. It's unbelievable. Mr. B for Life says, laughing my arse off, loving Carl's passionate rants. Me too, mate. That's why I'm so happy that he came on the stream, because I know what this fella's like. Mr. B for Life, 6th and no trophy. Fraud sacked my prediction. Probably. This is Arteta's last chance this season.
Fair enough.
It has already been given too much time. I would have cleaned out the deadwood 2 seasons ago. Mate, if it had been me, he wouldn't have got the job in the first place. This isn't a further education college. This is a football club. Rebel said, lads, I presume you have seen Spurs 2-0 down, laughing my arse off. Yeah, and I'm absolutely delighted, I have to say. Darren Sullivan, we are not an academy club. where we give managers a chance to do apprenticeships. 100%, we're the third biggest club in the country, and it's about time we started acting like it. The upper tier. Noel says, big up, Carl. Nice to see you again, Noel. I hope you're doing well. Yeah, just in case anyone wondering, I'm here hosting the show today because Del Boy unfortunately had to go off and do something, so he asked me to step in for him. So,
and you're doing a very good job, actually.
thank you very much, sir. Tony, I'm going to come to you. Is it Tony you want me to call you, or Anthony?
Anthony, it's okay. Anthony
no
Claude
problem,
is
mate.
okay. Anthony, it's okay.
Anthony, what do you think is going to happen this season in terms of how we do in the domestic cups, the Europa League, and also in the Premier League? Where do you think we'll finish, and how do you think we're doing the cups?
Yeah, see, let's just get over the elephant in the room, which is about this Mikel Arteta stuff, or all these things. See, as for me, it's pretty clear. I want Arsenal to win the league this season. Now, that's the bar I've set for Arsenal this season. It shouldn't be lesser than that, actually. I've even pronounced that Arsenal should win the league this season. That's what I've already prophesied already. So everything that we're going to be doing this season should be at that bar. Now, I would say this clearly on your channel. If Mikel Arteta, I'm actually Mikel Arteta in, actually. But this is what I would say. This season, if Mikel Arteta doesn't get us the league title, now I'm not saying top 4, because I'm not going for top 4. If Mikel Arteta doesn't get us the league title this season, or win us the Europa League, I mean the title itself, not quarterfinals, I don't want any of all this stuff. If he doesn't get us these 2 trophies, or either one of them, and even if he goes on to win the FA Cup or the Carling Cup, he should respectfully walk out of the club or resign. This is what I've come to at the end of the day. And now I have reasons for that, why I'm Arteta in. See, no matter how we spin this narrative in any of its turn, Arsenal could not win a title with Koscielny and Mustafi in our backline. No coach in the world could have done that. And now, see, even someone here in the chat said, talked about the Deadwoods and all of that. Manny spoke about it. Even you, Ryan, you talked about it. See, what the board has done to this football club is not something that can be undone in just 1 season or 2 seasons. It's something that has to take time. I've brought this up with Manny many times on my channel. Of course, we don't see eye to eye in some of them, but we've come to a compromise about it. Doesn't it anger you? Doesn't it boil your blood that you bought in a player from Lille in France for £72 million, heading to £75 million, and you cannot get £10 million for this player in the open market? Doesn't it pain you? Doesn't it hit you deep down in your heart that you cannot get a single nickel for these guys? Doesn't it hurt you in any way that Bellerin, one of the most favorable, lovely, amazing player to have played for Arsenal in his youth period, starting up with Arsenal? Can you believe it that Arsenal actually ripped up this guy's contract and couldn't even get anything for him? Not a nickel. We couldn't get anything for this guy. So I don't see. So when people are saying that, hey, Mikel Arteta, what that guy had to face in that dugout, in that boardroom, it's something different. So that's why I've given him until this season to prove himself, rather than saying he should go out, because we see, even if anyone should not pride himself in being a good person, you should always pride yourself in being a fair person. Fairness. We should be fair to this guy in a way. And I think the Arsenal base have been fair enough for those who have waited till now. If Mikel Arteta doesn't get us the title this season, and if he doesn't get us European League Cup this season, then anything can happen to him. I don't mind. But for this season, we need him here. And right now, the good thing down there right now is that Arsenal is doing well right now. We're first in the league right now. Now, will the board have the cojones? Will they have the balls? Will they grow up a pair of balls and give this guy what he needs? Because clearly, Eddie Nketiah has shown that he's not that kind of striker that could back up Gabriel Jesus. So what do you do instead of mocking him? You go to the market, you get Mikel Arteta, an effective and competitive striker. You go in there, you bring a centre back. You go in there, you bring a midfielder, and let's see what he can do. If he doesn't perform, I'm more than okay for him to leave the club. But for right now, I need him there because I see, no matter how we try to recycle this whole process, it will fail even if we get in another coach because of the board. They're not doing enough for the coaches. Even Unai Emery, he has gone on to have glory with Villarreal because the board have supported him down there to do things. And that's why he got things after he left the football club. So we see, even if we got the biggest coach, he won't do anything in that club because of the kind of players we have. Because it takes two to do it. Antonio Conte is having problems with Tottenham Spurs. Why? Because he plays a certain brand of football, but the team he needs is not down there to play it for him.
No, you can't say that.
I'm serious. We need to go in January and give Mikel Arteta what he wants. Give him a striker, give him a central midfielder, and give him a centre back.
But Tony,
and let's see what happens. If he doesn't get it, he can leave the club. That's
Tony. You're forgetting though. Tottenham have got world-class players in their team. So, and all our fans who wanted Conte. And now look at Tottenham. All the fans that wanted Conte at Arsenal, I think they were thinking, "Whoa, do you really want him for Arsenal?" I didn't want him from day one, and I made that clear to everyone.
I would have preferred an Ancelotti, actually. Personally, that's what I've always been saying. Because he's more experienced, he's more well versed. He goes along well with youth. He goes and he blends youth and experience very well. But when Mikel Arteta comes into play, I'm like thinking, is it the best kind of coach to come in? For me, no. But again, we just had to give him that chance. Let's see what he does this season. This is the litmus test for him. If he fails this season, then it's all open field.
Sorry, can I just start asking you, if you want to, Tony, if you want to, please put the link to your channel in the chat so that people, if they want to, they can come and watch your channel, because I know that you've got a channel yourself. Yeah. So please feel free to do that, please, sir.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Sorry, Carl, you wanted to come in, mate. Sorry.
Yeah, just a few things there I want to say straight off the bat. The reason why we didn't get a cent for Pepe and Bellerin is because the two of them are fucking useless. That's number one. Pepe came for 72 million. I wouldn't give 72 fucking cents for him. The same with Eddie Nketiah. We're talking about getting in strikers and all this. Eddie Nketiah has proven throughout the years that he wouldn't strike matches. But what does he do in Arteta and Arsenal Football Club do? We give him a new contract with £100,000 a week. Not alone with the number 14 jersey as well. These boys should fucking know that he's not good enough for a football club. Now let's get on to Mr. Arteta. And I know Prince Ford is in the house. Big up to you, my friend. And I know your opinion about Arteta. But here's my opinion. Never was good enough for Arsenal Football Club. Never will be good enough for Arsenal Football Club. And if he don't bring success this season to Arsenal Football Club, fuck off down the road. Don't want to see you ever again. Prince Ford, you have to agree with me now, mate. This is his last fucking chance. This is it. This season, end of story.
I agree. This should be his last chance. I totally agree with that.
No excuses, lads. No fucking excuses. This club is great for excuses. Fuck excuses. Don't bring success this season. Fuck off.
It is, yeah, but you know what? To be honest with you, though, everyone at the start of the season, even included, like maybe I can't speak on your behalf, and I can't speak on Warren's behalf, and I can't speak on Tony and Manny's behalf because I had never heard your prediction at the start of the season. But a lot of people I went live with were saying he's going to finish 12th, 6th, 8th, 10th, and I was taught, and you're agreeing with Tottenham fans too. So if any Arsenal fan agrees that it's expected he's going to finish 10th or 6th or 5th, what he's doing now, if anything, though, he's overachieved that achievement anyway.
Prince Cloud, I've been asking the other guys, and I want you to answer this question for me as well.
All right, well, no problem.
The reason I'm on here, by the way, is because Del Boy's had to go off, and he's asked me to host a show for him. So that's why it's me rather than Del Boy. But what the question I've been asking the other guys, and I'd really like you to answer it as well, is where do you think we're going to finish in the league this season? And how do you think we're going to do in the cups? What I mean by that is, will we win the domestic cups? Will we win the Europa League? Or if we don't, when will we get knocked out? So if you could answer that question, that'd be brilliant.
I think in the league we're going to finish 3rd or 2nd. That's my opinion, and I think and the reason we are seeing is because when you look at the teams around us, like we've got to be real. I watched the Man United game in Chelsea yesterday. They don't look that good. And I looked at today Tottenham are losing, and the teams around us, besides Manchester City, they're the only team most probably are going to win the title. And the second of all is the reason why I think we should go for the Europa League, because if we can bang in the points now in this first half of the season, then the second half of the season concentrate on the Europa League and the league. And try and go get a domestic cup. As long as the points are on the board, then he's got no excuse not to deliver silverware. Because that's what I see. I feel like we're collecting the points now, because going into the second half of the season, Arsenal fans want to see silverware. And I agree with Kyle. Like he said, we've got to win something. Or F off down the lane, because this is the season now where you can't. We as Arsenal fans, even myself, and you know what, and I've been backing this man from day one. No excuses. This is the season where he has to deliver.
He has to.
He has to deliver.
Prince Pod.
What's that?
Prince Pod, if he doesn't deliver,
Fair
then
play
what?
to you, man. Fair play. Respect there for that. Respect, because I know you're a big
Of course, respect has always been there for forward, of course.
Prince Pod, if he doesn't deliver this season, what do we do then?
Go to Crystal Palace and bring back Vieira, the legend, and say, "You ready, son? Are you ready to take on? You ready to get that winning mentality? You ready to put invisible to these players?
Yeah.
Bring Vieira in." That's my opinion. People might not want Vieira, but me, because what he's doing at Palace, you know, not many managers. Look at Roy Hodgson, for instance, and all the managers they've had Frank de Boer, they've had Roy Hodgson. They haven't done what Vieira have done, and he's had no money. And the best thing about it is, this guy's haven't signed players out of London. Now imagine you give him a transfer market.
Right, okay, thanks, mate. Now listen, I just need to go through some of these chats for Del Boy. So BX Gunner 81 says top 4 and a trophy. Darren Sullivan says it's a disgrace, mate. Pepe, and also we paid £27 million for a world-class centre-back, then sent him to France as a buy-to-let defender. And then BX Gunner 81 says, when the player becomes sour grapes, it makes 100 times more difficult. Mr. B, any bets on Conte losing his job or walking away? I think he'll walk away before that happens, mate. Darren Sullivan says, good points, Tony. Yeah, he's made some class points tonight. He really has. Del Boy Gunner TV, thanks to everyone for watching. I'm sorry I can't make it. Big thanks to Warren and for Maddie taking the wheel. Please hit the like and subscribe. Please subscribe to Warren's channel. My channel link's somewhere in the description somewhere. But yeah, look for me. My channel's called Warren's Team Talk. You'll find me by just doing that search in YouTube. I'm also on Instagram. But yeah, thanks very much for everyone for all your comments and stuff. Gavin O'Flaherty says, better off without you, Del. Only joking, but just a bit extreme. And Darren Sullivan, Reece Nelson being persisted with. What do we think of that? Well, yeah, it's a curious one, I have to say. Del Boy gone missing like what Nketiah does. Yeah, and there's a few others that we could mention that have done that as well. Mr. B for life, what's the fucking story, Del Boy? Darren Sullivan, he could finish 5th PF. Mr. B for life, pissing down at Spud's ground. Yeah, thunder and lightning are south of England today. I live in Kent and it's been lightning and raining most of the day. Alan Attic says, big up everyone, not the best result today, but we move. Yeah, so we just have to move on now. There's nothing we can do about today's result now. We just have to move forward and make sure that it doesn't happen again. Ryan Stockley says, if Arteta doesn't piss the domestic clubs down the drain like he has done, then we could go far. I think so too, mate. It's raining on Tottenham shit show stadium. And Ryan says, so Ford, are you saying if Arteta doesn't win a trophy or the league this season, then he is out, yeah? So that was my understanding of what he said.
Yeah, he's got to get top 4 and win a trophy.
Yeah. Compared to Prince World, he said that the other night as well on another channel. So fair play to him. So guys, listen, I'm gonna wrap this up now for Del Boy. But thank you all very much for coming on and having your really. And I know that Del Boy is as well. So I'm going to go round to you one by one, and I'm going to ask you to tell us where people can find you and tell us about what you've got coming up in the next week or so. So first of all, I'm going to come to Manny. And the first question I'll ask you, Manny, is when's this blessed YouTube channel getting set up?
Yeah, I've been pushing him.
Yes, that's 2 more people added to the score. It's Del Boy, the Aussie Gunner, now you, Sir Warren, and now Tony as well. And look, all I'm saying is, look, I do have some really good ideas, and they're still sort of forming in, and I still also have to figure out which service to use and how I'm going to structure everything and what I actually want to offer. And I know the clock is ticking, and I definitely don't want to disappoint people, but once I do get it up and running, you will all be the first to know about it, and I will make sure that it will be something that I'd like to offer. And hopefully, the more I can keep doing this, the way I'm coming onto YouTube and speaking on these shows, the better I'm going to get. And it's all about preparation for a lot of these things. But until then, I'm just happy to keep coming on all these channels. Obviously, Del Boy Gunner TV is my first, my last, my everything. It's the first channel where I came and sort of started doing all of this, and I got to meet the legend that is Mr. Warren Bartholomew, and through him I got to meet as well Mr. Kyle Walsh and Tony Claude Gunner, and of course Prince Fuad and several other fine people. And of course on YouTube, apart from Del Boy, you can catch me on other channels like S. Featley TV, Tony Claude Gunner TV, obviously. Huge shout out to Up the Cherries in All Departments, a Bournemouth fan channel. I go on their channel quite often. I know they'll be playing on tomorrow night, so good luck to the Cherries there. And several others, which I don't have the time to name. I'm mainly active on social media. You can catch me on Twitter at Thangadurai1981. That's my surname and my year of birth. You can also catch me on Instagram at Manny Thangadurai1981, which is my full name and my year of birth. And if you want to have some chats with me on anything football related, come onto Twitter or Instagram or just hit me up. I will respond, and we can certainly have a debate. Maybe you can come onto one of these fine channels and have a debate with me there. Until then, I'm always happy to keep coming on and saying my piece and saying what I want to say and allow the chips to fall where they may. I actually, before I just say my final piece, I want to pay a special tribute to a Japanese footballer who passed away recently. His name is Masato Kudo, a former Japanese international striker who sadly passed away at the age of 32 due to complications from brain surgery. He had been suffering from encephalopathy. another reminder that life is far too short. 32 is no age to depart from this world, but obviously the Almighty wanted him to be at his side. And so it's another reminder that as long as we're here on this earth, we have to make the most of the time we have left here and be good to one another. And as Warren himself would say, share some kindness around the world because we all need it. And make sure that at this time of the month, we all treat each other better. We never, ever know when the Almighty will call us to be with him. So let's treat each other better. Let's be good to one another. And with that, let me say peace to all of you. Have a good rest of your Sunday. Enjoy your upcoming week. And I'm out.
Thank you very much. Thanks a lot, Manny. I really appreciate that. Tony, I'm coming to you now, mate. Thank you for putting the link to your channel in the chat. There it is, everyone. So please make sure you go and check out his channel. But yeah, do you want to just tell everyone about your channel and about about your socials and whatnot, please, and what you got coming up next, mate?
Yeah. Hey, it's a very, very big and a very, very huge honor to come around this station and this channel, and just talk football with this amazing guest. Manny's no new person to me. I chop it up every time with him. He's my friend, he's my brother. We talk football. We see things differently, but we always come to a compromise about how Arsenal Football Club should run and what we should get this season. We always come together, and that was why I started up my channel. I started up my channel because I just felt that the board has really, done lots of damage to the fan base, that we don't even want to have the time to actually listen to each other, to listen to what each other have to talk, to respect each other's opinions. So rather than infighting between us, I wanted a situation, a forum where fans of different opinions can actually come in, have their own say, and be respected in their say, and have their own opinions. That's just me. So I really wanted that kind of channel where it would be all encompassing, and that's why I opened Tony Cloud Gunner TV. So if you want to hear voices like Manny, Prince Fuad, Del Boy too. Del Boy should be coming to my show very soon. Many people, Northside, LDN, different people, they come to my show and they talk. They have their own say. And I don't just look at Gunners specifically. I talk about football in a holistic manner in terms of the Premiership, Champions League. So I bring in Chelsea fans, I bring in Liverpool fans, different fans. They're all welcome to my show. So I talk about Arsenal Football Club. I love the club. I want us to win a title this season. It's very, very paramount and very, very important. And I hope Mikel Arteta will do that for us this season. You can catch me on Tony Cloud Gunner TV on YouTube. You can also catch me on Instagram, where I share lots of funny stuff, where I mock lots of the rival fans, because I really gave it to Liverpool yesterday. Just pop into Tony Cloud Gunner TV on Instagram, and then you'll find out what I do to these teams that have been losing left, right, and center this season. And also you can catch me on Twitter on Tony Cloud Gunner. So I have weekly shows. I have a weekly show with Manny. We've not given it a name yet, but he always joins me every week. One of these days, we are going to sit down and talk about it by giving it a name. I always bring in Deji Spores in one of my flagship show, which is called The Minority Report. Every single Thursdays, I have it with Deji Spores, who is a sports fan. So, it's kind of like a rivalry kind of a thing. I have the rival show where me and anybody who is from a rival team, where we sit down and talk about the rival rhetorics going on in the Premiership. I also have a separate show called Real Talk, where we, just talk about different things about the Premiership. And my flagship show, the Ryan and Claude Show, where I do it with my business partner, Ryan Maguire, and we just talk about Arsenal, and then we invite lots of guests to come around and chop it up with us. So it's a honor to be amongst you guys here. Thank you very much, Ryan. It's nice to meet you too. And Kyle, it's nice to meet you too, brother. I hope me and you can be able to do something. Although you're very, very outspoken about your about your distaste for Mikel Arteta. But brother, you're not alone. I do understand you. I do feel you because, of course, when you've not won something for a long time, you really want to win. Yeah, I totally understand you. So that's why there's a place for you in my channel. Come and talk about it. Let people know, what's your idea about Arsenal, and if we're going to win something. And if we're not going to win something, hit it at its nail. I will be the last person to shut you down on my channel. I can't do that. So it's open. Prince Fawad, he comes. I look at Prince Fawad as one of the last custodians of the Emirates Stadium. Me and him will do that. We're very, very positive goonies. Other people are positive in their own way, but Prince Fawad chops it all with me most times too. So big ups to everyone here. Thanks very much.
You're very welcome. Thank you very much, Tony. Thank you for coming on tonight, Anthony. I'm really pleased to have been on the stream with you. The first time I've ever had that experience, and it's been a pleasurable one. So thank you.
Thank you,
right now, I'm going to come to the main man, the legend that is Carl Walsh, Wexford's finest. So, Carl, off you go, mate. Big up your socials and your channel, mate.
Spurs has just scored one goal now, and guess who? It's Harry Kane.
Go on, Carl.
First of all, big up to you, Warren. You know what you mean to me, brother. You're 100%. You know that. You know the friendship we have. Manny, as always, great to listen to you. I actually think, my personal opinion, you're the best speaker on the YouTube platform. I love listening to your opinions. You come across, you're very intelligent, and the way you put things together is just top class, and it's a privilege to listen to every day.
Thanks, Anthony. I appreciate that.
This is my first time with you, my friend, and I will be subscribing to your channel straight after this show.
Thank you.
I listened to all your points. You're coming across very good as well. You know your stuff. Big up to you, and respect. Prince Fawad, top man. I know me, you had little disagreements before, but I have not only respect for your brother. And we're all part of the community here of Arsenal Football Club, and that's our opinions are our opinions. I'm very outspoken, I'm very loud, and that's just the way I am. I don't hold anything back. I'm supporting Arsenal since 1986. I travel over to England to watch them playing 4 or 5 times a season. It's expensive. It's a lot of time consuming. I watch them I have Sky Sports here. I watch them. I don't miss any games. That's since 1986, so it's a long time supporting the club. I only want what's best, and Arteta is not what I think is best for the club, and that's just the way it is. I started doing YouTube channel 6-7 years ago when things started to fall apart with Wenger. If you look back, you'll see those videos about Xhaka, about Ozil, all that kind of stuff. So one of my friends said to me one day, why don't you go back in on YouTube? So I said I will, not knowing that I was going to end up meeting all you guys. So it's absolutely brilliant, because to me, I've made friends that we all have the one love for, and that's Arsenal Football Club. So you should all get me, lads, on my YouTube channel, which is Kyle Walsh Gunner. I'll be putting up a review of the match later on tonight. It won't be for the faint-hearted, but most of my videos are not for the faint-hearted anyway. So I just speak off the cuff. I don't do any research, anything like that. It's just out of hate, how I'm feeling at that particular time. So just please subscribe to the channel, and more content will be going out there. So big up to you all, lads. Thanks for all tuning in, and great to share this screen with all you legends here as we speak. So big up to you, and big up to Del Boy as well in his channel. Top class.
Yeah. Please, Kai, please put in your channel, on the private chat, and Warren, you too, please, so I can add you immediately as we speak.
I will do. Brilliant. Chat. And when the stream's finished, I'm going to put it in the comment section, and I'm not sure it'll let me do it, but if I can, then I'll copy. Well, I'll look for your channel links and after the stream is finished, and I will copy them in to the post stream comments so that people can see them who watch this on playback and click on them and stuff for you all, if that's all right and you're happy for me to do that. So yeah, thanks very much, Carl. Now I'm going to come to my nemesis. I'm joking, man.
It's
Rick,
forward.
go ahead.
You know what?
Big up
I'll
your
say to-
socials and tell everyone about your channel, please, buddy.
I was saying to what's his name? I was speaking to Jess, innit? Because I watch you on Jess show sometimes, and I said to Northside Jess, I never knew Warren was I never knew when I see Warren's team, I thought it was some young lad, innit? And when I seen you were older, I said to Jess, I apologized to him because I never knew he was an older person. He's older than me, and I respect my oldest, innit? So I said, apologize. Tell him I'm not like that normally, but yeah, I do a lot of I do a bit of football like blogs and that, but I've done boxing. On my channel, I do a lot of boxing. Like I've already had the world champion on it. I've had Joey Cadena, IPF champion of the world on 133. Hopefully now I got a few other fighters coming on, but they're on camp now. Some of them fighting in Dubai. So I got a lot of boxers coming on my show. I do talk football, but I do a lot of boxing too. Hopefully on my platform next month maybe I'll have a few world champions on it. Hopefully jumping on with me again. But I had my first one was last week with Joey Cadena. So yeah, if you catch me on Prince Squad TV, and I'm there, and I interview boxers, people. I sometimes go live about football, but I do maintain to do boxing talk too. So I'm not just all arsehole, I'm split. So yeah, but you all know I'm Arteta in anyway. So if you want to come and give me abuse, I love it.
No abuse from me, brother. It's all love. We just agree to disagree, and Tony can back me up on this. At the end of the day, what unites us is our love for the club. And with an Irish connection, if the Unionists and the Republicans could come together to help the Good Friday Agreement come to pass, then there's no reason why the fans shouldn't come together and hopefully want what's best for the club.
Well said, Manny.
Exactly.
Thanks very much, Prince Rod. And thanks each and every one of you for coming in and having the balls to come and put your face on camera. I really do appreciate it, and I absolutely rate it. And last but not least, I want to thank everyone in the chat for coming in, putting in comments and getting involved in the discussion. It's been absolutely superb. I've really enjoyed hosting the show for Del Boy. Del Boy, if you're watching it, mate, I hope I did a good job for you, buddy. And I hope everything's working all right for you. And hopefully, if I don't speak to you tonight, I'll speak to you in the morning. But take care, everyone. Thank you very, very much for tuning in to Del Boy's show. Don't forget to put a like on the video before you leave. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already to Del Boy's show. I have links to all the guys' channels in the comment section later for you. So you can just click on the links and go and subscribe to them and put likes on the videos as well. And just before we finish, I want to big up Del Boy's son's YouTube channel, Zach Football TV. He's a really, really young fella, and he uploaded this video the other day about a flood down the road from where him and Del Boy live, and it was absolutely top draw. So please make sure you go and give him a sub as well, because it's a lovely, lovely young fella, and yeah, we want to support the youngsters and help them on. So anyway, guys, thanks very much for watching. I'm going to play the intro again in a minute. But before I go, I'm going to just say what I always say on my channel, and that's please take care of yourselves. Look after your loved ones, your family, your friends, and please make sure you share some love and kindness around the world. And take care, everyone. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you all again really, really soon.
Benjamin dancing beyond Simpson. It's great stuff. Oh, it's absolutely brilliant. Let's get in behind here. Things around his period. Oh, beautiful skill in winning. Bold onto Adams. This would be a fairy story. Can there be a sweeter moment?